They mocked her, called her a crippled waitress, and laughed when she rolled by in her wheelchair. One man grabbed the armrest, another spilled her coffee. They thought she was weak, just another vet trying to stay relevant. What they didn't know, Carla Jennings is a decorated Marine major who dragged 3 soldiers out of enemy fire after losing her legs. Stick around, because the moment her commanding officer walks in the room goes silent. And justice. It's about to be served hotter than the coffee she spilled. Where are you watching from, and what's the time there? Let us know in the comments below. Subscribe to join our community. Derek Slater's fingers drum against the Welcome Home Diner's counter, each tap echoing his mounting rage as he watches Carla Jennings wheel between tables. The morning sun catches her service pins, making them gleam with an authenticity that feels like a personal insult. His own discharge papers crinkle in his jacket pocket, a constant reminder of his fall from grace. "Look at her playing hero!" Derek mutters, his service coin burning against his palm as he grips it tighter. The familiar weight that once brought comfort now fuels his bitterness. Through the window's reflection, he catches sight of his own haunted eyes, hardened by experiences he can't forget, and a discharge he refuses to accept. The diner's patriotic decor, fresh bunting and yellow ribbon decals, seems to mock him. Every "Support Our Troops" sticker feels like a personal attack. His hands shake as he watches Carla navigate her wheelchair with practiced ease, serving coffee with what he perceives as smugness. Time to show everyone what a real Marine looks like. Derek announces, his voice carrying just enough to draw attention. He stands deliberately placing himself in Carla's path as she approaches with a full coffee pot. The morning regulars tense, sensing the brewing confrontation. Someone's phone camera light blinks to life. "Excuse me," Carla says softly, trying to maneuver around him. Derek doesn't budge. Instead, he reaches down and grabs her wheelchair's armrest, leaning in close. "You don't deserve that uniform, Pride," he snarls loud enough for phones to capture. "Some of us paid real prices." The diner falls silent except for the soft whir of Carla's wheelchair motor and the unmistakable sound of multiple phones recording. Derek's service coin digs into his palm as he squeezes it harder, drawing strength from its familiar edges. "Sir, please step back." Carla maintains her composure, but her fingers tremble slightly on her wheels. Derek's response is to knock the coffee pot from her lap, the crash and splash drawing gasps from the crowd. Dark liquid seeps across the floor, steam rising like his anger. His reflection in the spreading puddle shows a face he barely recognizes, twisted with a fury he can't contain. Vet shame. Trending now. Someone whispers their phone screen, reflecting Derek's actions. Going viral on military channels. The diner's door chimes, and Colonel Richardson, Derek's former commanding officer, steps in his face grave. "At ease, Slater," he commands, using the tone that once meant everything to Derek. "That's enough." Derek's world tilts as Richardson continues, "Major Jennings here earned her Bronze Star pulling 3 Marines to safety under heavy fire, the same day she lost her legs." The colonel's words hit like physical blows, each one chipping away at Derek's certainty. The service coin slips from Derek's suddenly numb fingers, spinning on the floor like a forgotten medal. Its metallic song fills the silence as it wobbles to a stop, landing heads down. A fitting metaphor for his falling status. Will Derek's carefully constructed wall of anger survive this revelation? Can his hatred withstand the truth about the woman he's chosen to torment? Type honor falls if you've ever watched someone's prejudice crumble in the face of truth. Derek's inner voice echoes in the sudden silence. "I built my strength on hatred, crafted my identity around being the real veteran, the true warrior. But watching my service coin spin on that floor, hearing the truth about Carla, what if I've become everything I once fought against? Have you ever realized you might be the villain in someone else's story?" The hashtag #SlaterShame replaces vet shame within minutes, spreading across military and civilian channels alike. Derek stands frozen, watching his carefully constructed narrative crumble as fast as his service coins spin, while Carla's quiet dignity speaks volumes louder than his rage ever could. Derek Slater stares at his service coin spinning on the Welcome Home Diner's worn counter, its gleam mocking him like the medals he once wore. The jukebox's Marine Corps hymn pierces through his practiced facade, each note excavating buried memories of his final days in uniform. His hands, once steady enough to field, strip a rifle, blindfolded, tremble slightly as he picks up the coin. The morning crowd bustles around him, but their chatter fades against the roar of memories. 3 tours in Afghanistan distinguished service record respect of his unit, all erased by one moment of weakness. One flashback, one superior officer who didn't understand one discharge that still burns like white phosphorus in his gut. More coffee. Mr. Slater. The waitress's voice carries an edge of caution, now news of his confrontation with Carla, spreading like wildfire through their small military town. The viral video has already hit 50,000 views. His jaw clenches as he scrolls through the comments, Ajak vet shames vet trending each notification, a fresh wound. Through the window's reflection, he watches Carla at her usual table surrounded by other veterans who cast dark glances his way. Her purple heart catches the morning light, the same medal he'd been recommended for before everything fell apart. Her uniform is pristine, her posture perfect, her smile genuine as she counsels younger vets. Everything he should have been. The Marines taught him about enemy surveillance, but now he's the one watching, documenting her every success, like gathering intelligence. Her promotion to lead counselor at the VA, her speaking engagements about PTSD awareness, her perfectly controlled reactions to his provocations. Each achievement feels like a personal attack. Have you seen what they're saying about you online? Tommy, his last remaining friend from the Corps, slides onto the neighboring stool. This isn't like you, Derek. The Derek Slater I served with would never? The Derek Slater you served with died in that last firefight. He snaps his voice carrying across the diner. Heads turn. Phones emerge. He can practically see the next viral video forming. His service coin stops spinning, Washington's profile face down on the counter. The symbolism isn't lost on him. Studies flash through his mind. Research on displaced aggression, on how trauma survivors sometimes target those who've successfully adapted. Dr. Matthews at the VA tried to explain it once before Derek stopped attending sessions. Looking down at his shaking hands, Derek Slater remembers the day his commanding officer praised his potential, calling him future of the Corps. Now he haunts this diner like a ghost, watching another Marine living the life that should have been his. The jukebox shifts to another song, but the hymn echoes in his head. His reflection fragments across the chrome napkin holder. Marine civilian victim villain. The man staring back wears his face, but carries shadows he doesn't recognize. Type broken if you've ever watched someone else living your dream. His service coin feels heavier as he pockets it, weighted with memories and might-have-beens. Through the window, he watches Carla help a young vet with a prosthetic leg navigate the diner's door. Her purple heart gleams like a beacon of everything he lost. The viral video plays again on someone's phone nearby. His voice twisted with rage, his finger jabbing at Carla's chest, her calm response making him look even worse. Comments flood in. Disgrace to the uniform. Someone needs help. What happened to Semper Fi? Derek Slater's world narrows to this moment, this diner, this growing realization that he's become everything he once fought against. His service coin burns in his pocket like unexploded ordnance waiting to detonate. Tommy's words hang in the air. You're not the only one who came back different, Derek, but you're the only one choosing to stay broken. The morning light catches his reflection again, and for a moment Derek Slater sees himself through the eyes of his fellow Marines. The enemy isn't across the diner. It's staring back from every polished surface, wearing his face, destroying everything he once held sacred. And somewhere deep inside, past the rage and the pain, a small voice whispers the truth he's been running from. This was never about Carla's success. It was about his own failure to heal. Officer Derek Slater's hands trembled as he stared at his phone, watching the view count climb on the video titled, "Ex-Marine Harasses Disabled Vet." 6 hours had passed since the incident at Welcome Home Diner, but the digital wildfire showed no signs of stopping. The service coin in his pocket felt impossibly heavy, a constant reminder of everything he'd betrayed. A notification pinged. Another 1,000 shares. Vet disrespect was trending nationwide, his name attached to every scathing comment. Derek Slater's throat tightened as he read the responses from fellow Marines, "Disgrace to the core," and "Not one of us anymore." The diner's bell chimed through his memory, each ring now a condemnation. He'd returned to peek through the windows, watching veterans stream in to show support for Carla. Their combat boots struck the linoleum with purpose, each step a drumbeat of judgment. Derek Slater pressed himself against the brick wall outside, his breathing shallow, as familiar faces passed by. Faces he'd served with, trained with, trusted with his life. "Look what the great Derek Slater's done now." A voice cut through his spiral. Staff Sergeant Martinez, his old commanding officer, stood there shaking his head. "You were supposed to be better than this." The service coin burned against Derek Slater's thigh as he fumbled for words. "I didn't think clearly." Martinez interrupted his disappointment, cutting deeper than anger could. "That woman in there, she took 3 rounds pulling her team out of an ambush, and you made her a punchline." The words hit like physical blows. Derek Slater's carefully constructed walls began to crack as the full weight of his actions crashed down. Through the window he caught glimpses of Carla moving between tables, with quiet grace, her prosthetic leg visible beneath her uniform. The same leg he'd mocked hours earlier now seemed to shine with a dignity that made his previous arrogance feel microscopic. His phone buzzed again. CNN had picked up the story. "Former Marines' harassment of disabled veterans sparks national outrage." Derek Slater's stomach lurched as his own face filled the screen, twisted with cruel laughter in a frozen frame from the viral video. The sound of more boots approaching sent him stumbling back toward his car. But he couldn't escape the memories now flooding back, of brothers and sisters in arms supporting each other through hell, of the sacred bond he'd violated for a moment of petty superiority. The service coin seemed to mock him with every step. He pulled it out, the metal catching the afternoon sun. The eagle globe and anchor blurred as unexpected tears welled up. Everything he'd stood for, everything he'd fought for, tarnished by his own hands. A comment notification caught his eye. "Remember when Derek Slater carried Wilson 3 miles with a sprained ankle? What happened to that Marine?" The question echoed in his mind as he slumped against his steering wheel, the weight of shame crushing down on his chest. Have you ever watched your entire identity crumble in real-time type fallen honor if you've seen someone destroy everything they once stood for? Through the windshield, Derek Slater watched more veterans arrive, their solidarity, a stark contrast to his isolation. The diner's bell continued its mocking chorus, each chime driving home the magnitude of his betrayal. His phone screen lit up with another surge of notifications, but he could only stare at his reflection in the dark glass, wondering how he'd become someone he no longer recognized. The sun began to set, casting long shadows across the diner's parking lot. Derek Slater sat paralyzed, watching his world unravel thread by thread, the sound of boots on linoleum echoing in his memory like a funeral march for the Marine he used to be. "I notice an inconsistency in your request. The input format specifies the rebellion how to break free as part 4, but your input shows the action taking a stand. Additionally, there's ambiguity about whether Derek Slater is the antagonist or protagonist based on the story memory provided. Before I can proceed with crafting the narrative, I need clarification on 1. Which specific section should be generated, the rebellion or the action? 2. Confirmation that Derek Slater is the antagonist whose perspective we should follow. 3. Whether the Major Harper mention should be incorporated into the antagonist's perspective. Please provide these clarifications so I can craft a section that perfectly aligns with the requirements while maintaining narrative consistency and the proper antagonist perspective throughout. Derek Slater stands frozen before the welcome home. Diner's gleaming windows, his reflection a stark reminder of the man he'd become. The morning light catches his service coin, now dull from years of angry polishing. A ritual that had masked his own pain rather than honoring its meaning. The aroma of fresh coffee drifts through the early air, carrying memories of countless mornings when he'd used this place as his battlefield. His fingers trace the worn edges of his coin, each groove telling stories of both honor and shame. The weight of it feels different now, heavier with truth than pride. Through the window, he can see Carla Jennings moving with quiet dignity among the tables, her prosthetic leg making a soft, steady rhythm against the floor. A sound he'd once mocked, but now recognizes as the heartbeat of resilience. The hardest enemy was always in the mirror. Derek whispers to himself, stepping through the door. The bell chimes and heads turn. Regulars who've witnessed his transformation from tormentor to troubled soul seeking peace. The diner falls silent, but not with the fear he once relished. This silence carries the weight of witness. His boots feel like lead as he approaches Carla's table. Her table where she takes her breaks between serving others with a grace he's only beginning to understand. The morning sun streams through the windows, casting long shadows that remind him of guard posts in distant deserts. But this time he's not standing watch. He's surrendering. I've been fighting the wrong war. Derek says, his voice carrying across the quiet diner. His hands shake as he places the service coin on her table. The metal catches the light, throwing fragments of brightness across the walls like scattered memories. Some battles aren't meant to be won. They're meant to teach us how to lay down arms. Carla looks at the coin, then at him, her eyes holding decades of shared understanding. The silence between them speaks volumes about shared trauma and different ways of carrying it. A customer's coffee cup clinks against its saucer, a small sound that echoes like mortar fire in Derek's memory. "Welcome home, Marine," she says softly, and something breaks inside him. The words he'd used as weapons are transformed in her mouth into a balm. Tears he's held back since his own return fall freely now, each one washing away layers of armor he'd built around his wounded soul. The new sign outside catches the morning light, Diner of the Brave. And Derek finally understands true courage. It's not in the battles we win, but in the ones we choose to stop fighting. His PTSD support group will meet here later in this space he once poisoned with his rage, now cleansed by truth and time. Sometimes, Derek says, looking around at the faces that have witnessed his journey, the bravest thing a warrior can do is admit they're still fighting battles no one else can see. He touches his empty pocket where the coin used to rest. And sometimes healing starts when we stop denying our own wounds. The morning crowd has grown phones capturing this moment of transformation. Vetstrong trends again, but this time with his story of surrender and growth. The coffee's aroma fills the air with promises of new beginnings, and Derek finally feels the weight of his armor falling away. Bartomis. Drop 1, if you believe in second chances, appears on the screens sharing his story. Share if you know a veteran still fighting invisible battles. Through the window, dawn paints the sky in colors he'd forgotten how to see, and Derek Slater, no longer the villain of his own story, takes his place among the brave one cup of coffee and one honest moment at a time.